It's amazing how you could adjust your life and still feel like there's not enough time. There's never any time. I don't have time to study. I'm never going to get into Stanford. There's never any time. But it's true. We all do have 24 hours a day. What do you do with your time? How do you allocate your time? And more importantly, how do you allocate your energy? Are you putting it into things that are a net shit? Or are you putting it into things that are a net benefit? How are you? Welcome to the Vinny Brusco Show podcast. How are you? If anyone wants to join the Patreon page, head on over to patreon.com/the VB show. Help me get a real fucking mic stand, a real boom mic stand. It's so dirty. And also a real microphone. This is actually from my daughter's karaoke set. I had to hijack it from her. This is a fake background, by the way. It's all green screen. This isn't even fucking staying in there. The fuck? So go to patreon.com/the VB show. Help me get some real fucking equipment. I'm joking. It's good equipment. Stop it. All right. Stop complaining, Vin. Jesus Christ. Fuck. Doing a podcast from your shed. Life's great. Shut up. How are you? Hope you're doing well. Imagine I should leave all this in there. I'm going to. Listen, if you're enjoying the podcast, God, I'm so tired of saying this shit. I really am. I'm not going to lie to you. I'm not going to lie to you. Okay? I'm tired of saying it. If you're enjoying the fucking podcast, tell a friend, spread the word, subscribe, rate, and fucking review. Right down there. Do it. Click the little buttons. He's lost his mind on this episode. Whatever. Fuck it. Spread the word, tell a friend, subscribe, rate, review. Blah, 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 helps with the algorithm. Blah, blah, blah. Don't know any of that shit. I really don't know algorithms. There's like Facebook algorithms. There's Instagram algorithms. I don't fucking know algorithms. I don't want to know algorithms. You know what? I'm not playing the algorithm game. I'm just showing up, putting on my hat and my glasses, and I'm doing my thing. Doesn't fucking matter. Fuck you and your algorithms. There'll be 0 views on this, and my YouTube channel's going to shut down for saying fuck the algorithm. It's going to happen. I'm going to say fuck the algorithm and power down. No more pod show. If you are enjoying it, just do it. Do whatever the overlords of YouTube and Instagram and Facebook tell you to do. Whatever their mathematical insight is, just listen to them because they're ruling us anyway. So subscribe, rate, and review, and do all that stuff to help with the algorithm that I fear and need in my life to validate my existence. I hope you enjoyed this solo episode. Enjoy.
And here we go.
Hope you're doing well. I'll tell you who's doing well. My mother, she is going to retire this year. All right. Shout out to my mom. Congratulations, Mom. She's retiring. I don't know if I should get into what she does. I mean, it's not like she's a fucking rocket scientist. That came out wrong. So she's a fucking rocket scientist. No, I mean, like, she doesn't have like some covert operation job. She's a speech and language pathologist, which is a very prestigious career. Don't get me wrong. That came out so bad. That was like such a dickhead comment. I wasn't saying it like she's not of importance. I'm saying it wasn't like she's some type of government agent that I can't say what she does. You know what I mean? Does that make more sense? Does that make me sound like less of an asshole? So she's retiring. Congratulations to her. Kudos to her big time because she went back to school at like 40 with 2 kids and got her master's and her undergraduate and fucking did all of that shit. Working and raising kids. And I mean, fuck, that's a lot. So kudos to her for doing that at 40. And now she's retiring. I won't go into her age, but she is of a retirement age. So you could do the math on your own world. So I was talking to her about retiring. I'm like stoked for her. I'm like, all right, now you're retired. And because on like the social level, right, it's like, yeah, there's this subconscious finish line to retirement, right? There's like this, I've done it, right? And I think that's a crock of shit, quite frankly, the line of demarcation that you could start living now that you're retired. I think that's a crock of shit. But I was talking to her on the phone. I said, hey, listen, we're just shooting the shit a little bit about, just whatever. And she goes, all right, I'm retired. I'm retiring. I was like, that's great. She goes, well, what do I want to do in my life? And I almost dropped the phone because I was like, what? What do you mean? He's like, well, what do I want to do in my life now? And it got me really thinking. I said, Mom, that's kind of like sad. I was like, I love you to death, and I'm so proud of you, and I'm stoked for you, and I know that this is a great accomplishment, but that's a little sad. Why are you asking this question now? Why didn't you ask this a while ago? And she's like, well, like, no, like, I'm not the type of person that's going to stay home. Like, she doesn't golf. Like, she's not a traveler, right? She's not like I like to travel. Like, she's not one of those people. She's like, so what do I want to do in my life? And all she came up with was more work. It wasn't like, she's like, oh, I was like, why don't you take up some hobbies? Why don't you start like painting? She always liked drawing. I'm like, why don't you tap back into the essence of who you were before we had to bog down your life? Why don't you tap back into drawing? Like, I told her she should start a podcast. She's a very smart woman, very insightful. And I told her she should start a podcast. She might come. I'm going to try to get her on this podcast, which would be a very tall order, but I think I can do it. Maybe audio only. She's not big on camera work, right? So I said to her, I was like, that's kind of sad. And I discussed it. I was like, I'm going to talk about this on the podcast. And she's like, all right, whatever. I think it's a little sad. It's beautiful in one way that you have this young, jovial sense of yourself that now that you're retiring, you feel as though you want to reinvent yourself. Beautiful. I think it's a wonderful, beautiful mindset and approach to retirement. Not, hey, I'm going to sit around and rest on my laurels. Rest on my loyal. What is the term? You need a producer. Whatever it is. She's not like, I'm going to sit around and watch TV all day. She's not like that. She's like, what am I going to do? Maybe I'll go do this. Maybe I'll go do that. And I think it's a wonderful way to approach retirement, right? This social line of demarcation that says, I've done it. I'm done now. I am off the proverbial teat of society. And I think that's beautiful in one way. But then it also brought this feeling of, what the fuck have you been doing this whole time then? If you're saying, what do I want to do with my life at retirement? Now we're going to start approaching this idea? Is this what we've set ourselves up to get to an age, to get to a certain point in our lives where we could say, okay, now I'm going to live. And her living is more work. Her living, the everything she threw out at me involved working, involved getting back out there and doing more work. Now I understand she's retiring from the system. I get that. And I think that that's a very tall order. Kudos, congratulations. Absolutely. I love that. But I also look at it and say, what the fuck have you been doing? Why now are we asking that question? What do I want to do with my life? And that's one of the big things that you hear when people are on their deathbeds. Thank God she's not there, of course. But this sense of regret, the sense of what did I do with all my fucking time? And the only thing that I could relate that to was when I was a stay-at-home dad. And I thought to myself, well, I don't have time to do all these things. I still have to do this and that and this. And I had a lot of leisure. Don't get me wrong. A lot of time. Don't get me wrong. But it's amazing how you could adjust your life and still feel like there's not enough time. There's never any time. I don't have time to study. I'm never going to get into Stanford. There's never any time. But it's true. We all do have 24 hours a day. What do you do with your time? How do you allocate your time? And more importantly, how do you allocate your energy? Are you putting it into things that are a net shit? Or are you putting it into things that are a net benefit? Are you consuming things that make you feel good? Not just food, television, books, video games. And I love video games. I don't watch too much TV. Love video games. Haven't played in a long time. Love video games. There's a part of me that always will have that connection to video games. Remember getting Mario and be like, oh, this is the greatest fucking thing ever. I'm controlling the little Italian man. This is wonderful, right? But what are you consuming in your diet, your mental diet, your physical diet? Because when most of it is junk food, when most of it is just pure bandwidth consumption, when you're not fine-tuning what you're consuming, well, that rhymed, that was great, right? When you're not fine-tuning it, you do feel like there's not enough time. You do feel like you have a lack of energy, but it's a balance. I talk about this a lot. It's a balance. It's an energetic chi and balance of mind, body, and spirit. And it was just amazing that my mother, who's retiring from the system, is now saying, what do I want to do with my life? And the only thing that she thinks of is working more. Again, kudos to her. I get it. You can't stop the momentum, the inertia. And if you saw my mom and my dad and you knew their age, you'd be like, holy shit, they look great. And they do. And I have a very, very warped, distorted view of what age is because of how they show up in the world, how they present themselves, the way they carry themselves, the way they dress, the way they move, what they do. And then I see some people who are in their age bracket, if not younger. I'm like, oh shit, that's another version of this. But I was just blown away by the conversation I was having with my mother at her retirement age. And then a couple extras past that. She's questioning what she wants to do with her life. And I wonder, I thought to myself, does that ever go away? Do you ever get this sense of feeling accomplished? Now, I'm sure there's a sense of accomplishment with certain particular things, of course. A job, a pay raise, a paycheck, graduating. We have these moments in our lives that are set out accomplished goals. But do you ever feel like it was enough time? Will you ever feel like you got your money's worth out of life? Will you ever rest and say, all right, I got it all. I got everything out of this. I don't believe you do. It's like after you finish your workout, and again, this is the only parallel I could pull from, a CrossFit workout or rolling at jiu-jitsu or whatever your I'm just using working out in this example, or a test that you take. Could you have done better? Could I have squeezed out 3 more reps? Could I have squeezed out 10 more seconds? Could I have not tapped? Could I have found this loop choke? Could I have found this other thing? I think the answer is no to that question. But then how do we find peace and true satisfaction in the life that we're actually living? How do we get to a certain age and say, what do I want to do with my life now? I understand I'm pontificating upon a simple sentence that my mother said post-retirement. I get it. But behind that sentence, there's a cornucopia for me, because I'm a deep thinker every once in a while. There's a cornucopia behind that. There's so much behind that. And to me, I want to know. I want to dive into that. I want to unravel and untwirl that and see and understand and see if you can get to a point in life where you say, I got my money's worth. I don't think you do. I wonder. It's worth thinking about at the very least. There you go. Kudos to my mother on her retirement. I hope to have her here in the pod shed, record an episode. It'd be very interesting. That is it. Spread the word, tell a friend, subscribe, rate, and review if you enjoy the podcast. Leave a comment down below, whatever you got. I appreciate it. I will check you guys out next time. Until then, much love. Peace.